It is 6 o'clock and the Kerrville City Council is in session, and Council Member Gary Cochran will lead us in invocation and the pledge. If you'll please stand.
Join with me in prayer. Father God, we gather here this evening. We come together to conduct the business of this city. But do not let us forget that we are your children, and it's our decisions and actions that need to honor you. I ask that you grant us wisdom, that you embolden us with courage, and at all times, let us treat each other with kindness and respect. We ask this in your name, Father. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank you for attending, and it is good to be back where these meetings where citizens can appear in person, and that we will continue in this format until there is a change in the status of the pandemic or governor's orders that would warrant a different format. Let me remind you, citizen or public participation continues to be available by calling in via Zoom, emailing, or using the City Hall Dropbox before 4 p.m. If anyone present wants to speak on an agenda item, by now they would have been required to sign up when they came into the building. When speakers are called, they are to come to the podium right here, come to the podium in front of the stage and begin by stating their name and address for the record. Note that public comment periods are for council to set aside time to specifically hear from you. Any questions that you might have will not be responded to until after public comments have been concluded. Thank you in advance for helping by respecting these rules of procedure. At this time, we come to the announcements of community interest. Mr. Conyers.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council, and welcome to everybody here tonight. We only have one announcement tonight, and I think I have a slide right up there somewhere, but I'm not sure that I need to remind everybody because I understand that we had some very good turnout today at the Youth Event Center, but early voting did begin today and will continue all this week. Let me give you some times here, October through 13th through 16th, which is through Friday of this week, and that's 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Next week, October 19th through 23rd, that's Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then the following week, October 26th through the 30th, Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then we also want to mention for those that can't make it during the week, see if I can get the right slide, that there's also voting this Saturday and Saturday, October the 24th, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, there's two locations, the Hill Country Youth Event Center and Ingram Independent School District Building Boardroom, and you can vote in person at either one of those. You do need to show an ID. So let's all get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. At this time,
Mr. Mayor?
yes.
I thought maybe there was a speaker. There's no one speaking.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
You have something to
I would have something I'd like to share. This letter is from Reverend Alan Noah, and he is the pastor of the Barnett Chapel. And our last meeting, we were talking about the Neighborhood Enhancement Team, NET, and he had written us a letter, and we just didn't get it in time. But I would like to read it, if you will indulge me. To the Honorable Mayor, members of Council, City Manager, and staff, I am Reverend Alan Noah, pastor of Barnett Chapel United Methodist Church, founder and executive director of Glory Community Garden, and resident of the Doyle community. The NET, or Neighborhood Enhancement Team, was born out of the 2050 Comprehensive Plan. Its objective is the delivery of services and programs provided by the city through working partnerships with the neighborhoods. It seeks to address citizens' particular concerns, raising awareness of code and zoning ordinances, provide information on accessing city services, and promotes a clean and safe environment. It was my privilege to work with the team in the Doyle neighborhood prior to the citywide shutdown related to COVID-19. The program was well received and supported by the neighborhood. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the staff was not able to fully implement the program according to its design. 2 aspects of the program were accomplished. Step 1, neighborhood assessment. Step 2, net event. Street repairs and debris removal has been accomplished. Traffic signage has been completed, and other improvements are scheduled once we are out of this pandemic. As a resident, I commend the staff for continuing to be making themselves available to the community and look forward to continuing our work together. Blessings, Reverend Alan Noah. So, thank you, staff, for what you're doing, and they'll be able to continue with that in the future.
Good, thank you.
Thank
Thank you. I would like for representatives of the Make a Difference Committee, if you would join me up here on the stage. Good. I wonder if Mr. Hayes should be out here. You're chairman of this group. Would you please join us?
I missed a meeting.
You missed the meeting, yeah. Right. City of Kerrville recognizes Make a Difference Committee with the October 14, 2020 Kerrville Kindness Award. The Make a Difference Committee, formed earlier this year in response to the COVID-19 crisis and consisting of City of Kerrville employees, has raised funds for local food banks, collected food supplies for those same food banks, and continuously sent teams of volunteers to work at the monthly San Antonio Food Bank food supply distribution at Light on the Hill. The committee has also organized a river cleanup team for this weekend that will be collecting and disposing of trash along Town Creek. Thank you very, very much. And Coy, I'm gonna give this to you to handle and to carry.
Okay.
All right. There you go. Okay, let's
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Now, I would like any representatives we have who are working on the night sky, dark sky effort at this time, if you'll come up here on the stage. Okay. Yeah, good. All right. This effort is significant in terms of preserving our night sky and the vision of our night sky. The City of Kerrville Proclamation, whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of star-filled skies are the heritage of all humankind. You know, I'm going to get over here. I think we asked you all to read this. If I can keep all of this together. The star-filled skies are the heritage of all humankind and locally to the inhabitants of Kerrville, and are therefore worthy of celebration. And whereas the experience of standing beneath a star-filled night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe and may encourage interest in science and nature, especially among young people, and whereas the opportunity to view star-filled skies attracts tourists to our region and therefore economic benefits to Kerrville, and whereas preserving the rich historic heritage and starry night skies of Kerrville is important to its citizens, and whereas light pollution, which is wasted energy that performs no function or task, and artificial light that goes where it is not supposed to go, creates glare, light trespass, sky glow, and overlighting. And whereas the historical view of the night skies has been eroding in many nearby areas, and generations are growing up with limited, if any, view of the wonders of the universe. And whereas solving the problem of light pollution involves making better use of outdoor lighting to direct light down to where it is needed instead of upward into the sky, putting outdoor lights on timers and using outdoor lighting only where necessary. And whereas this regional effort in the preservation and celebration of our night skies is worthy of a month-long celebration. Now I therefore, Bill Blackburn, Mayor of the City of Kerrville, do hereby proclaim October 2020 as Hill Country Night Sky Month. All right. This is great. Great. All right. And I want you to witness my signing list. Okay. All right, we got a picture over here. I want you to do that.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, could they introduce themselves?
Yeah, would you introduce yourself? Wait, let me get the mic. Oh, wait, we can't pass that. Oh, we need one more photo? Hey, listen. Okay. All right. I don't want to pass the mic, but tell folks your name.
I'm Bruce Barton, and I'm the president of the Hill Country Astronomers and a member of the Firm County Friends of the Night Sky.
I'm Debbie Hahn. I'm Barbara Rose, and I'm president of the Riverside Agency.
And you just like what? All right, good. Good. All right. Thank you very much.
And last one,
Uh,
we have one more to
Oh, yeah. Bill. Bill Rector. Okay. All right. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We have an address from HEB to bring us up to date on what's happening.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thanks for letting us come and kind of give you an update. It's my understanding you just kind of want to know where we are in phasing and everything going on. So happy to announce to everybody that in 28 days we will have it open. So it will be open to the public. We will close the existing store down on November 10th, about 3 p.m. that afternoon, and we will open the new store at 6 a.m. on November 11th. That's phase one. So everything in phase one inside the store is complete, with the exception of we will not have the barbecue restaurant open until phase two, and our business center, lotto tickets, bill pay, and all that open until spring of 2021. And then we'll have the front entrance finished at that same time, which is the second tower, which will it will actually match the tower that is out there right now that you see with the wood and stone on it. Right now you're seeing on the front of it, there's some yellow out there. That gets rocked in phase two. We will paint it brown temporarily just to kind of match it. You'll also notice that where curbside sits on the front of the store, it kind of looks like our original store. The square footage is really about the same as it was in 1905 in that little part of the store. So we're kind of paying homage to where we all started from. So phase one, when we open, we'll have shuttles that will transport customers in the far part of the parking lot from where they park all the way up front. We'll temporarily relocate the handicap parking that's all throughout the parking lot to the front of the kind of store area, so the handicapped customers don't have that far to walk. Now that's temporary until we get the parking lot all finished out, and then we'll kind of place it throughout the parking lot again. So that's phase one, November 11th. Also on November 11th, we will go into the old building. We'll start disconnecting the gas, electric, all the refrigeration, start getting all the old equipment out, shipping it back. That will take us about 6 weeks. We will then, on January 4th, start demoing the old building. That will take us from about January 4th to about March 31st to finish out the tower, the barbecue, business center, and the new parking lot. When we get the new parking lot open, we will shut down the existing parking lot and come back in and get it to match the new parking lot. So we will, and gas station will open about spring of 2021 too. So we'll be doing that at the same time we're taking the building down. So we'll have 10 fuel pumps, we'll have car wash, diesel will also be part of that package, and then we'll finish out kind of the front of the parking lot with the landscaping and all that at that point. So we'll just open it up to your questions at this point, but that's kind of the broad-based strokes of where we're at. We are 6 weeks ahead of schedule, by the way. So just to let you know, we weren't originally scheduled to open until December 20th of 2020. So we have managed to get 6 weeks ahead. And we are the last store to open in 2020 for us. We're opening Lubbock in about 2 weeks, and we're opening a store in San Antonio 2 weeks after that, and then ours 2 weeks after that. So, and that will finish us out for the year.
Wow. Council, do you have questions?
Just excited.
So are we. I will tell you, we're in the process of selling everything down in the old store, which I know is kind of to the detriment of some of our customers. The other store is fully stocked with everything we carry over there, but we're trying to sell down about $6 million worth of inventory, because we don't take anything to the new store. It's all brand new inventory that we start with. The only thing we take to the old store is the prescriptions and that's by Texas state law, pharmaceutical, that we have to take that with us. So we'll move that the night before. But everything else that isn't sold down, we will donate to the local organizations here in town. So we'll go to the food banks or Humane Society, Any Baby Can, Raphael Free Clinic. So whatever we have left, we'll make sure that it gets to the right organizations, and we'll contact them when we get done with the final inventory on that day.
Kudos to you on that. I know Mustard Seed Ministry had mentioned to me that you were thinking about the donation, so thank you for doing that. That's much appreciated.
Yeah, I have no idea how much that will be at this point, but that's really based on how much we sell down.
You know, given the fact you're coming into the new HEB, and by the way, when we moved here in '84, people kept referring to the old HEB, and since it had moved to the present location. But going in there on November 11, it seemed like a good occasion to have an emphasis on veterans.
We're doing something for the veterans that day. It's a nice donation. We're not ready to announce that at this point, but they'll be pleased with what we're doing.
Good, good. All right, okay.
Thank you,
Anybody
Greg.
else?
That's
Greg,
just
thanks for
all
coming.
super.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys will be happy with it. It's one of the prettiest stores I've seen since we built. We're doing a lot of nice natural stone inside, and I think everybody will be pleased with it. So
Good, good.
it's turned out to be about 114,000 square feet under roof. So
Wow.
anyway, so thank you for the opportunity.
All
Very
right,
exciting.
thank you,
Thank you.
Greg, thank you. All right. We now have the Visitors Citizens Forum. Any citizen with business not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the City Council. Prior to speaking, each speaker must fill out the speaker request form and give it to the City Secretary. And the speaker request form must be submitted in advance, and each speaker has about 4 minutes. So no discussion may take place or no action be taken since items are not posted on the council to discuss subjects, but may later refer questions to staff for follow-up or place an issue on a future agenda later in the meeting. Ms. McLennan, do we have any speakers?
Yes, sir, we have 3. Bill Morgan.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I noticed something in the Saturday issue of the San Antonio Express concerning what happened with Lake Jackson, and they thought they had a contaminated water system, and a child died from picking up an amoeba, ate his brain, as they said. But the article in the paper says that actually they found out now that the amoeba came from their splash pad in their town. And since we have 2 splash pads in Kerrville, I thought it might be of interest to the council and the public to be aware that there might be a problem. I don't know whether it has been addressed, but if there is a problem, it needs to be addressed. Right. Just an interest in public health. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jerry Wolf.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jerry Wolf. I live at 509 North Buckboard, and I am the president of the Kerr County Patriots Club. I come to City Council this evening to discuss a very important matter, a matter of life. I sent each of you a resolution about a week ago that was approved by our club, the Kerr County Patriots, that requests the council to make a statement that the city affirms the right to life for the unborn. I'm not going to read the resolution tonight. It's a little bit too lengthy to get it in the time period. Anyone who's interested can find it at kcpatriots.org. That is our website, and it'll be posted there. I believe a sizable majority of the citizens of Kerrville support such a statement. Unfortunately, Mr. McDaniels, the city manager, declined my request to include the resolution on tonight's agenda, citing that the right to life is a partisan issue and that City Council is nonpartisan. Full disclosure, Mr. McDaniels and I are members of the same church and share, I believe, the same belief on the right to life. I disagree with the concept that the right to life is partisan. First of all, 13 Texas cities have approved a city ordinance, not a resolution, an ordinance, to prevent abortions. In addition, 7 of those were sued. Of that 13, 7 were sued by the ACLU in January of this year, and the ACLU ended up dropping the lawsuit in June. Approximately 13 other cities are looking at this same ordinance now, including Lubbock, a city about 10 times the size of Kerrville. Also, the city of Austin, which larger, but as most cities in, all the cities I'm aware of in Texas, have nonpartisan city councils. did, in spite of a state law passed in 2019 that does not permit a city to fund abortion services, budgeted for fiscal year 2021 $150,000 to fund 2 abortion advocate nonprofits, which obviously violates the spirit of the law. We need to send a message loud and clear to Austin and to the rest of the state where Kerrville stands. One way is for City Council tonight to put the resolution on next meeting's agenda, which would be, of course, what, the 26th? 20,
I believe that's right.
27th, yes. Another way, which may be more appealing, would be taking a legal route, and that is to go into zoning and pass a non-conforming business ordinance, a zoning ordinance, which would not permit an abortion clinic to exist within the boundaries of Kerrville. Mr. McDaniels has over 30 years in city government and a wealth of contacts with other city managers, as he is former president of the Texas Municipal League. Mr. Hayes, our attorney, has an abundance of experience and contacts, as he's been into this job for about 25 years, I believe, and has attended numerous forums and seminars hosted by TML on city legal matters and zoning codes. There is a way for the city to stand tall and be counted as pro-life. Where there is a will, there is a way. I would be happy to work with Mr. McDaniels and Mr. Hayes on this very important issue to come up with a solution that is both acceptable to City Council and maintains the intent of our resolution. I'll be looking forward to attending the next meeting and to see what we have come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
George Eichner?
I don't think he made it. I don't think he was not here.
Then that's all.
Okay, and that's all? All right. Let's move ahead to the consent agenda.
Mayor, would you like for me to address the splash pad question?
Yeah.
So you'll recall in a recent report that I shared with you that we were already looking at this to make sure that we didn't have an issue. We didn't think we did, but just to double check. So Lake Jackson for years has used chloramines to disinfect their water system. And that's not as good as what we call free chlorine, which is the most reliable and the best disinfectant there is in the industry. So chloramines tend to cause TTHM issues as well. So we've steered away from those. But or they wanted us to go to chloramines to help mitigate the TTHM issue. But instead, as you know, we've gone to the granular activated carbon system to deal with that. So we use free chlorine, and we monitor the levels of chlorine out in the system of our water system as well as the splash pad. And we're confident that combined with our flushing, there is no issue. So just to cap that off, we did look at it just in case. You know, you always want to be careful about these types of things, and we're in great shape in that regard. In fact, TCEQ has now forced Lake Jackson to go to free chlorines, and we already use them. So.
And also, Mark, thank you for proactively getting that to us. Before, sitting here tonight, I was already reassured based on the research that you did proactively in getting that to us, so that I could have that assurance for our citizens. So thank you for taking the lead on that.
Okay, we come to the consent agenda. By the way, excuse my voice, allergies are once again getting me. These items are considered routine and can be approved in one motion unless a council member asks for separate consideration of an item. It is recommended that the City Council approve the following items, which will grant the mayor or city manager the authority to take all actions necessary for each approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve 4A, 4B, and 4C.
All right, we've got a motion to approve all three. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, but I would like, before we vote on it, I would like to make a comment on one of these items. It has to do with the Atmos gas, and I would just like to say that there was a resolution, of course, that was the result of 171 Central Texas cities served by Atmos coming together to negotiate on behalf of their citizens to keep the rates down. And there will be somewhat of a raise for those who use Atmos gas, but it is much, much less than it would have been had this group of cities not worked together. And I just like to thank our staff and for being proactive in being part of that and doing something good for the citizens.
All right, okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor of passing these three items on consent agenda, let it be known with a raised hand, and it carries unanimously. At this time, we will hear an update on the final terms of the general obligation refunding bonds. Ms. McElhannon?
Update on the final terms of the general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2020, and presentation of the transaction summary.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to introduce Ann Berger-Intrican. She is the Regional Managing Director with Hilltop Securities, and she's been our city's financial advisor for over 30 years. Ann is here tonight to present the results from the debt refunding that all of you recently approved.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Mr. McDaniel, thank you so much for the opportunity to be back before you again this evening. What we have for you is an update of the transaction results, but I also thought before we actually talk about the outcome of the pricing that it would be helpful to go and talk about a few of the steps along the way. So one of the steps in the process was to go to Standard & Poor's to get the bonds looked at again and re-rated. And the best news is that the AA rating, stable outlook from Standard & Poor's was reaffirmed. But we wanted to highlight a couple of the comments that came from the rating report. Most notably, they talked about the very new and exciting news that the city of Kerrville has related to some of the economic development and new businesses that were coming to the city. They highlighted that very significantly. The other thing that they talked about when we went through the report, they talked about very strong management with strong financial policies and practices. They talked about very strong budget flexibility with available fund balance in fiscal year 2019 of 30%. They talked about very strong liquidity with total available cash at 48.5% of governmental fund expenditures. And they also talked about a strong debt and contingent liability profile. And I think that that's very important and wanted to highlight that when they look at that, they are looking at the debt service as a percent of the total governmental expenditures. They are looking at the net direct debt as a percent of total governmental revenues. And they also look at the percent of principal you have maturing in the first 10 years. And what most cities try to target is to at least have 50% of their debt amortizing in 10 years. Well, the city of Kerrville has 66.9% of its principal amortizing in 10 years. So it's really those three matrices that they look at in order to come up with that definition. One of the other things that I wanted to highlight that it really was important, I think, to read the report, and it's not so much what it says, but I think it's what it doesn't say. They have a section in the report that talks about in your stable outlook, and it says upside scenario. And that reads, we could raise the rating of Kerrville if Kerrville's economy were to continue expanding and diversifying, leading to wealth and income levels that are more in line with those of higher rated peers. Well, what I think is very interesting, the rating agencies have been very transparent in what they look at. They look at the economy as just noted, but they look at management and governance, they look at debt, and they look at your finances. And I thought it was very illuminating that what you need for upside potential has nothing to do with your management and your governance, your debt, or your finances. Those are all very strong. And those are, when we step back and think about it, of the three, those are the three for which the city has the most control and discretion. It's a lot harder to control your economy. So I really, in thinking about this and going back through the report and the things that are highlighted, I think that's a tremendous compliment to the city and to your staff in how they see that really from an upgrade perspective, from a management and governance, from a debt and a financial perspective, you're already there. It's just they're looking at what you need to have from an economic perspective to put you more in your peers. So congratulations. We had a very positive process that was led by your staff, by Ms. Dozier and her team, and it was a great process and felt like it was important to highlight the outcome of that. When we talk about the callable bonds, these are the same bonds that we talked about before. We talked about the 2012 bonds as well as the 2013 bonds. So this information has not changed. So when we look at the refunding numbers, so we were able to achieve, and oh my gosh, I may have to get a little bit closer. I'm so sorry. I wasn't in this environment expecting to have the distance. Normally I'm able to, thank you, Amy. I'm so sorry. So with the actual savings, and we show these first by the 2012 and then secondly by the 2013. And we have done that because you have slightly different sources of revenues that are repaying them. But on the refunding bonds for the 13, the par amount is $5,460,000. The gross savings are just under $462,000, with average annual savings of about $82,700. When we look at the present value savings, it's over $441,000, with net present value benefit of 6.713 and a true interest cost of 1.243. When we get to the 13 bonds and we isolate and we look at what those results were, the refunding par amount was $5,785,000. The gross savings are just under $393,000, with average annual savings between 23 and 26 of $92,600. Present value savings of $374,900 on a present value benefit of 5.386%, and the true interest cost is 1.449. So what we wanted to do is to take the opportunity to go back and compare what we had shown you when we were here in order to have your consideration for the delegation authority with what we were actually able to achieve. And just if we look at the 12 bonds, we had predicted savings of approximately $400,000, and we have just under $462,000. Present value savings, we projected just under $385,000, and the actual results are over $441,000. We had projected the PV savings of 5.885, and in reality, it's 6.713. We had projected a true interest cost of 1.377, and in reality, it came in at a 1.243. The other thing, which applies both to the 12 and the 13 bonds, is we originally thought that we would have the standard 10-year call. We were able to negotiate a 9-year call without any penalty whatsoever in the interest rate. When we look at the 13 bonds, we had projected about $5.68 million in savings, but had 5.785. That's on the principal amount. On the gross savings, it's $329,171, and we were able to achieve $392,841. On a PV basis, the difference is about $305,000 projected versus just under $375,000 in actual. The PV savings, instead of 4.384, is up to 5.36, and our true interest cost was a 1.449 versus 1.593. And so when we combine the results, you saved an aggregate of $854,632 on your gross savings, which was $125,603 more than projections. On the present value basis, $993, which is $126,000 more than projected. And on an aggregate basis, we thought you would have a 5.099, and it's a 6.03. So we were able to achieve significantly more savings than we had shown to the City Council when we were here to get your approval to move forward. And summarizing, the city was very fortunate, and it was an opportune time from a historical perspective to move forward and undertake a financing transaction. As you'll recall, when we looked at the certificates of obligation, the 2012 and the 2013, we had originally told your staff that we didn't think there would ever be a refinancing opportunity because you had coupons in the 2 to 2.5% and a 1.5 up to 2.75%. So even with those very low coupons from the original transaction, you were able to achieve significant debt service savings. And what we did, and we can go into this more if you have a question about it, but we worked in a collaborative effort again with your staff where we really isolated the portion of debt which is funded by the EIC and the portion of the debt which is funded by the waterworks and wastewater system so that we could strategically target the savings to optimize those respective systems. And so we just would like to thank the city so much for the opportunity to be a part of your team. We also want to thank the city because Mr. McDaniel and Ms. Dozier and your staff all just did a tremendous job. These savings and the ability to access the market at the timing that we did would not have been able to be achieved without all of their help and their support, and we are very appreciative and grateful for it. And so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can you come back every month with this kind of report?
Yes, sir, if I could, I would.
All right. Council, questions?
Just thank you for your work.
Thank you for your efforts.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
Y'all have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Sewer time. At 6:42, we go into a public hearing and ordinances first reading. Ms. McLennan?
Ordinance number 2020-21, an ordinance changing the zoning of a 1.93 acre property, more commonly known as 1478 State Highway 173, Bandera Highway, consisting of part of Lot 16, Block 2 of the High Point at River Hill subdivision, from a single-family zoning district, R1, to a neighborhood commercial zoning district, C1, and providing other matters relating to the subject.
Okay. Mr. Paxton?
Thank you, sir. Can I get that PowerPoint up? Thank you. This 1.93 acre tract is designated as neighborhood residential in the Kerrville 2050 plan. Neighborhood residential includes small commercial developments with careful consideration along with the multiple housing types. In this case, the commercial tract will not have access to the neighborhood and will be accessed from Bandera Highway. Current property is zoned R1, as is the neighborhood behind it, with R3 across the street for the multifamily. C1 does include a variety of light commercial uses, as you can see in the land use table. Going from the residential property to the commercial, these commercial districts are fairly low impact as they are adjacent to residential property. On September 3rd, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended the case for approval with a unanimous vote. We did send out 11 notifications to adjacent property owners and received 1 in opposition. With that, I'd be pleased to answer any questions before or after the public hearing.
Okay, the property line of the business that will be there goes right up to the property line of the residences, right?
That is correct.
Okay, but the elevation is such that the light and activity at that business should not impact the residences?
That's correct. There's roughly, depending upon the area of the property, about 40 to 60 or 70 feet of elevation change from the front of the property to the residential property behind it.
Okay, all right. Any questions?
Drew, there'll probably be 2 entrances into that property eventually, or is it too soon to tell?
Too soon to tell, and that would be TxDOT's purview.
All right, do we have any speakers?
Ms. Franchina, are there any speakers on Zoom?
Maybe your mic's not on.
Does anyone in the audience wish to speak on this item?
I'll say that I was concerned about the impact on the homes there, and particularly in regard to Mr. Pummel's letter. But what you're telling me is, given that elevation, it shouldn't impact it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Do we have a motion on this matter?
I'll move that we approve ordinance 2020-21.
All right. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion second. All in favor, let it be known by the raised hand. Okay, and it passes unanimously. So it's 6:46. We're out of that public hearing and into ordinance number 2020-22. Ms. McLennan?
Ordinance number 2020-22. An ordinance changing the zoning for a portion of a subdivision consisting of Lot 1, Block 1, Arcadia Falls Estates, more commonly known as 2255 Arcadia Falls, from a single-family zoning district, R1, to a medium-density zoning district, R2, and providing other matters relating to this subject.
Okay, Mr. Paxton.
Thank you, sir. Lot 1 comprises of approximately 12 acres, which is part of 15 acres that comprises the 3 lots of Arcadia Falls Estates, currently under ownership of one property owner. This area is designated as neighborhood residential in the Kerrville 2050 plan, which includes a variety of housing types, single and 2-family. The applicant is looking to combine these lots through a replat, so there'll be one lot comprising of about 15 acres with an addition and a guest house proposed to the existing house. On September 3rd, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended the case for approval with unanimous vote. And with that, I'd be pleased to answer any questions before or after the public hearing.
All right. Council?
No questions for me.
Okay, brief comment. What's happening out there on Arcadia Loop is really interesting, of folks, extending houses and changes. But this looks really nice. When you pass the bridge going into Arcadia Loop, it's right there on your right. Looks nice. Okay, do we have any speakers?
No, sir, not on Zoom. No one signed up, but would anyone in the audience like to speak on this item?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2020-22 on first reading.
All right.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, let it be known by the raised hand. All right. We now come to ordinances, second reading. 7A, would you read that in for us?
Ordinance number 2020-18, second reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kerrville, Texas, such chapter more commonly known as the City Zoning Code, by amending the zoning code to include adding new definitions, amending regulations regarding front yard setbacks, clarifying uses within residential transition zoning districts, RT, and the airport zoning district, revising the formula for determining parking spaces for multi-tenant buildings, clarifying administrative processes, deleting requirements to specific building materials, and other amendments as provided.
By the way, would you note that we came out of public hearing at 6:46?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Paxton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is second reading, and be pleased to answer any specific questions.
Okay. Any questions?
I will move that we approve on the second reading ordinance number 2020-18.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion second. Are there any speakers?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, all in favor of this motion, let it be known by the raised hand. Okay, and it is unanimous. 7B.
Ordinance number 2020-19, second reading, an ordinance adopting amendments to the City of Kerrville, Texas sign code as found within Chapter 92 of the city's Code of Ordinances. Said amendments to establish specific regulations for signs located within a residential transition zoning district, RT.
All right. Mr. Paxton.
I get the presentation up. This also is a second reading, but based on council's discussion at the first reading, we do have a couple of amendments that we are recommending. I'll go through these slides real quick. So this is specific to the RT zoning district and the monument and freestanding signs within that district. And updated the summary, we did look at the area of some of those signs. There is currently not an electronic message board sign. First Baptist Church did have one, which they removed because it was having technical issues. At this time, they don't have any immediate plans to replace it, but they have left that open that they may be considering replacing that in the future. The average sign area for the signs in the RT district is 15 square feet. The maximum that we found was 32.5 square feet. Based on the discussion from the last council meeting, Based on the discussion from the last council meeting, we are looking at recommending a maximum area of 26 square feet, and that will keep all but 3 signs, existing signs, in conformance. There would be 3 signs that would be grandfathered. One's roughly 27 square feet, another one at 32 square feet, and that maximum at 32.5 square feet. And then recommending a change to prohibit electronic message boards in the RT zoning district.
Okay.
Mr. Secretary, it was my understanding in some discussions that from the Trinity Baptist Church's sign, that if they came back in the future and felt that was something they needed to do, they have the option of rezoning. Is that correct?
They could look at rezoning into the public and institutional zoning district. We have many churches across the city that are zoned PI, and that would not be subject to this restriction. And then depending upon their property and different circumstances, they also have the option of looking at a variance if there is a hardship.
Any other questions, council? Any speakers?
No, sir. No one signed up to speak.
All right. Okay. All in favor?
Can I make a motion?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. What I'd like to do is move to accept the ordinance on second reading, but with revisions to prohibit electronic signs and for the maximum square footage to be 26 square feet. So on page 3, item number 2, letter B, strike 32 and replace with 26 square feet. On letter D, electronic signs, strike the remainder of that sentence and add the words "are prohibited."
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. All right, all in favor, if you'd let me know by the raised hand. Okay, and it passes unanimously. Okay, 7C is McLean.
Ordinance number 2020-20, second reading, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan for the city of Kerrville, Texas, Kerrville 2050, pursuant to Chapter 213 of the Texas Local Government Code, by amending the thoroughfare plan contained therein to realign future connections from Olympic Drive and deleting a proposed future connection from Bearskin Trail to Ranchero Road.
All right, this is second reading. Are there any questions from the council?
I'll be glad to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 20-20
All right.
on second.
Okay, we got a motion, second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second. All in favor of ordinance number 2020-20, raise a hand. And it carries unanimously. At this time, Eric Maloney is going to do an update for us on COVID-19.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Give you a brief update on our COVID for Kerr County. And first on the case count from October 12th as of yesterday, there were 727 confirmed to date in Kerr County. 26 were still reported as active. We have 3 hospitalized at Peterson and a total of 13 deaths. Local update. Meetings last week, we had a joint EOC meeting on Tuesday, October 6th with our community leaders, and this Thursday the 15th at 3:30 we will have a community update via Zoom. The mask order, the exemption was granted on September 17th. Since then, on October 2nd, Judge Kelly voluntarily removed the mask order. And then the last piece on that is the next public free COVID testing will be November 3rd. That is Election Day. So from 8 to 4 at the Hill Country Youth Exhibit Center. Switch. One last slide. Here we go. Reminders that COVID-19 still remains a public health threat. So it's to encourage everyone to practice good hygiene, continue recommended social distancing, avoid contact with people who are sick, and those over 65 with underlying health problems should take extra precautions. And obviously, as mentioned, the mandatory mask order is in place for commercial and public spaces, and would highly encourage everyone to get the influenza vaccine for this season. Any questions?
Any questions?
No, but I have a comment. I had the pleasure of visiting with Corey Edmondson, the CEO of Peterson Health. If you want to see what the hospital went through for the last 7 months, it's amazing, the things that they did. Makes you feel even more comfortable with the safety habits we had in place and the news we were getting out. And the bottom line is still, he highly recommends wearing a mask most places. So you can go to our website, the city's website, if you want to view that clip.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, do we have any items for future agendas? Okay. Do we have need to go into executive session? All right. We are adjourned.